But anyways, for those of you that don't know, I think most people are aware of the story because this is on my personal page here. But shortly after Levi was born, about 6.5 weeks after he was born, his mother basically, for all practical purposes, kidnapped him from me. And I went 204 days without being able to see him, doing everything I could. I missed my first Father's Day, missed first 4th of July, first Thanksgiving, ended up missing my first Christmas with him. And it was a horrible, horrible, horrible time. And on December 7th of that year, I did finally get a 1-hour visit with him. And but during that period of time, I had heard all kinds of stories of parental alienation and how children had been brainwashed to believe that their parents didn't want them and stuff like that. And there was already a track record in this family. Levi has 5 siblings with 2 other fathers that had what appeared to be a very, very limited relationship with them. And I won't speculate on how that was caused, but it seemed that there was a pattern developing here since I was the 3rd in line. And I didn't want someday for, if this were to continue on, for him to be brainwashed and wonder, did Dad ever love me? What did Dad think? So I started writing to him every night before I went to bed. And I tried to not put his mom down. Tried to not really give into too many details for him. But it was just something that my hope was that if he was eventually brainwashed and alienated against me, that someday either I or somebody would be able to track him down and give him these journals so that he would know and have closure that, wow, my dad really did love me. Because I have to imagine most kids growing up in that situation probably wondered, did Dad really love me? Was I wanted or not? So I started writing a little journal to him, and I've kept it up to this day. I'm not exaggerating. I've got, this is the current journal that I have going. I'll be writing to him again tonight. I've kept it up now for 13 years. He's probably one of the only kids in the world that I've missed a few days here and there, but very, 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 very few. So basically almost every single day of his life for 13 years now has been journaled. But several people have asked, what do I put in there? And I've always kept it something that's kind of private because it is kind of just for Levi and I. But I thought I would go ahead and read the entry from 12 years ago. And the reason I'm doing this is I get calls and messages on a regular basis from people who are currently going through what I went through. Matter of fact, I'm not exaggerating. I got 2 of them in the last hour. One of them, right as I was getting ready to go live, somebody just sent me a private message saying, you know, hey, thanks so much. Your videos kept us going, and talking about the fact that they finally got access to their child. So the reason I do this is not to put my son's mother down, but to give inspiration and hope. Because most people, until it happens to you, are totally unaware of this situation. And yet tonight, over 20 million kids will go to bed without their biological father in the house. And almost 10 million of those kids have not seen their biological father in over 1 year. I want you guys to think about that. When I was growing up, my first 2 heroes were my mom and dad. And I can still remember as a kid, my dad, I would wait by the door. My dad had this beat up VW with a hole in the floorboard that he would drive. And you can hear that VW from 2 blocks away. And I would wait at the front door for my dad to come home. I couldn't wait to see my dad every single night. Can you imagine a child growing up where their father has been intentionally kept away? Yeah, there's some dads that walk away. I don't deny that. But I'll tell you what, there are millions of dads that are intentionally being kept away. And so the reason that I do this, the reason I do these Facebook Lives, is not to put his mother down, but to help raise awareness for people. Because not to brag, but those of you that know me, and this is on my personal page, so most of you watching this are personal friends of mine. You go to church with me, you went to high school with me, you went to college with me, you were in the chamber with me, you were on some of the charities that I was on the board of directors on. I mean, most of you know me personally, and not to brag, but I'm one hell of a dad. And to realize if I'm being kept from my son, how many other people are out there that had a small little blemish that if they were married would be no problem. But because they're not, all of a sudden they're being kept from their kids. I've never drank, but there's people with a DWI that if a couple was married and somebody got a DWI, nobody says anything. But I tell you what, if you're a non-custodial parent and you get a DWI, good luck trying to get access to your kids. And so I want to read the journal entry because it brings back a lot of emotion, so hopefully I can get through this. But this was my journal entry. This was Tuesday, December 7th, 2010. This was after going 204 days without seeing him. And at one point during that period of time, he was moved without my knowledge. And I had already been warned that I would never be allowed to be a part of his life. Ever. Guys, you can't imagine from a parent what that feels like to realize that you've been told you will never be allowed to be a part of your child's life. And the only reason is because that parent got caught doing something they were embarrassed about. So anyways, my parents picked me up from work to take me to Clayton. With all the surprises and delays, I think they were afraid something would come up again and keep me from seeing you, and I think they were a little concerned about me if that happened. Fortunately, it didn't. It was a very cold day, and I was worried that my mom might not find a parking, or that your mom may not find a parking place close by. Sorry about that. Not the best. I need some reading glasses. So it was a very cold day, and I was worried that your mom wouldn't find a parking place close by. So I texted her to offer to meet her outside the main entrance and park her car so she could bring you right inside. That's one lesson I hope to teach you, and you'll notice throughout this journal, you're not going to read all the journals, but throughout this journal, I've also tried to put life lessons in there because I didn't know whether I would ever be reunited with him at one point, and I thought just in case I'm not and something happens to me, my parents or somebody can track him down, and I've got about 50 books of these now, and I wanted life lessons that he would have wanted his dad to teach him that somebody could have given to him. So anyway, that's one life lesson I hope to teach you. Even if people have been extremely unchristian-like and unfair to you, there's certain times you need to rise above your hurt and do the noble thing. If someone is hurt or in need, always put your differences aside until the situation passes. Whether anyone finds out or not, it's just the right thing to do. As it turned out, she declined my offer, but at least I know I attempted. I went in and met with the social worker who was to observe the visit. That was an odd thing, too. Because I had been kept from my son for 204 days, I needed a supervisor to watch the visit since I had never been around a child before. Now, yet every other parent who has their firstborn child leaves the hospital never having a child before. But yet when you're a non-custodial parent, you need a social worker to observe you because you have no parenting experience, which is hysterical because those of you who know me know I watched a lot of your kids before that. So anyway, I'm still feeling somehow that I'm being set up. The social worker warned me that because it had been so long since you've seen me, it probably would take you a while to warm up. She said many times she's seen infants who basically cry the entire first visit. One of my concerns is that she had told me I was not allowed to bring any toys or food. She said your mother would bring any toys, diapers, wipes, food, etc., and that I would be seeing you in a room filled with toys and games. As it turned out, those rooms were already in use. So our first visit after not seeing each other for 204 days was in the social worker's office with no toys. Not a very stimulating environment for a 9-month-old who doesn't know the people in the room with them. I was getting nervous when your mother was 12 minutes late because I was told the visit was going to be from 11:30 to 12:30, and no matter what time it started, it was going to end at 12:30. So she was 12 minutes late, which meant I missed out on some of that time. But finally, the call came in that she was there, so the social worker went to get you at the other end of the building. I waited in her office. I could hear you crying down the hall as she was bringing you to me. My heart was pounding so fast. I was so excited. When she handed you off to me, you were still crying, but you went easily. I thought it would take a little longer for you to feel comfortable going to someone you didn't recognize, especially in a strange environment. Even though you were still crying, it felt so good to finally hold you again. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to feel like a whip, but man, this is bringing back some memories. I didn't like the fact that you were upset, especially since there was no need for the 7-month gap. Before the gap, I was always the one who would calm you down. I was the one who was around you around the clock. I was the one who changed almost every single diaper for the first 6.5 weeks. I never wanted you to feel the chill of a cold wet wipe or a cold diaper, so I used to warm rice packs in the microwave and tuck the wipes and a diaper in between the rice pack to warm them so that you wouldn't have anything cold on your little butt. You'll have no idea how much I love you and how much I was always looking for your best interests. Back to the visit. The crying died down to more of a whimper after about 3 minutes or so, but I think that was more because you were still in a strange environment and with no pictures or anything stimulating you to keep your attention. Your eyes look pretty tired, so I suspect you may have had your nap intentionally shortened to make you a little fussy in front of the social worker. To be honest, I didn't care. I was just happy to see you. But apparently you felt comfortable and secure enough with me because every time I would try to set you down, you would squeeze me so tight. It felt so good. I had brought a music CD that your mother used to play every morning that was playing in the background in hopes that it would make you feel more comfortable hearing familiar sounds. I was also bouncing you gently and talking in a rhythmic voice the way I used to in hopes you would regain that sense of comfort and security you used to have from the beginning. It really seemed to work because you seemed to be content to hold on to me and lay your head against my chest. I loved it. After a while, I spread a blanket on the floor and I tried to get you to play with the 2 toys that the social worker had gone and brought into her office. I had tried getting you to play with the toys your mom had brought. She was told to bring a few of your toys, but I have a feeling someone was tormenting you with the ones she brought, because every time I pulled them out of the bag, you would scream and cry until I put them away. Guys, this is blatant child abuse that's gone on. So anyway, sorry for the commentary. I finally left them all in the bag and decided to use the 2 toys from the social worker. One of the toys you seemed to really like. It had 5 pop-up boxes with the Disney characters that popped up. To get one, you had to turn a knob to the right, another button to the left, and a character popped up, and so on. I would turn the knobs, and you would push the characters back down so I could do it again. It was amazing to see at 9 months old that your brain was already figuring out things like that. It was an amazing feeling to be interacting with you as a team and to see the quick smile on your face every time one of the characters would pop up. I want so many more memories like this. Sorry guys, it's still a little hard to see here. At one point you farted loud. I checked your diaper, but you were clean. Time flew fast. It seemed like no time at all when she said 10 minutes left. Then 2 minutes. Then, okay, Dad, it's time to go. It seemed like you had just gotten there. I hated to have to give you back after not seeing you for 7 months, but at least I got to see you. The best part of all was when the social worker tried taking you away from me, you started screaming and grabbing at me so hard. You were actually still reaching for me as she was walking you out the door. It was an incredible day. The feelings of seeing you, holding you, interacting with you, and best of all, you clinging to me felt so good. I love you so much. And then 2 days later, we had what was supposed to have been the pre-trial. So if you're not interested, it's okay, but some people have actually asked. So this is getting a little personal, but I want to read this part because, as I said, there's a lot of people that go through this. And so many people, if you haven't been affected by the family law industry, it's shocking what goes on. I had no idea this kind of stuff happened. But it is blatant child abuse when a child is intentionally separated from a parent. And this happens every single day in counties all across America. So I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit of what happened at the pretrial. And at this point, I had no idea what to expect. I was blindsided, and I see a lot of people on here that can relate to a lot of what I'm about to read, of how blindsided and naive we were walking into this, thinking, well, I'm the dad, obviously I'm going to get 50-50 now. So this is 2 days later. December 9th, Thursday, 2010. Today was supposed to have been the day for the special pretrial, which would have the judge set some type of formal schedule for me to be able to see you during the rest of the case. My attorney is expecting your mother to try and keep these delays coming in an effort to keep me from seeing you, so the case could wind up taking till next spring or summer. It ended up taking till June. Considering we were kept apart for 7 months and have only had one visit, which was only 1 hour, my attorney wants to make sure that we get a chance to bond. Once again, my hopes were up as I thought I'd finally get a court order forcing your mother to let me see you. Unfortunately, the other cases in front of us ran over. So we never got to have the actual pretrial. And it's like I said, I guarantee there's a lot of people watching this can totally relate to exactly what I'm about to read now. Unfortunately, the other cases in front of us ran over, so we never got to see the actual pretrial. Instead, the judge asked the two attorneys, the social worker and the guardian ad litem, to come up with a visitation plan until the reschedule of the pretrial on December 27th. During the little mini conference, your mom's attorney pointed out that technically, without an official order from a judge at a trial, I still have no rights. Therefore, your mother has the right to continue to keep me from you. My attorney argued that since the DNA test proved you were my son, since your mother had continued to cash child support checks for me twice a month, since you have my last name, and since your mother has publicly stated that I am the father, that it should be in the best interest of the child to have frequent, regular visits with you to establish the bond. She stated that a child needs both parents in his life and that intentionally alienating us from each other shows a precedence that the mother is more interested in fighting and using control and using the child as a weapon than looking out for the best interest of the child. The social worker and GAL both stated that whether the above was true or not, technically her attorney is right, and I have no rights until the judge orders so. So your mother was able to keep me from seeing you for more than 1 hour a week until the pretrial starts. How is a 9-month-old child supposed to bond or even remember someone they only see once a week for 1 hour? I can't believe this is happening. With all the deadbeat dads that have no involvement with their kids, you would think they would be excited to have a dad that is fighting so hard to get quality time with his own son, especially since she has a track record of limited contact with the 2 other fathers of her other 5 kids. Once again, and I put a lesson in here, even though you could tell I was getting kind of ticked at its mom, I did go ahead and put a life lesson in here for him. Once again, remember to separate the issue from the person. We all have areas of strength and areas of weakness. My main challenge with your mother is in this one area, but that doesn't mean I would ever wish her ill will. Quite the contrary. Just as my father taught me, I would still be there for her if she ever needs me. I know it's confusing, but I hope to teach you to always be able to be cordial and respectful, even if you have major conflicts with people in one area of your life. So I won't bore you with the rest of it, but like I said, I've got literally 13 years of these journals where I've written to him every night. And here, wait, I'll show you the pictures. And then usually what I do, I go back and I put pictures of us on at least the days that we were together. There weren't many of them early on, but there's the pictures from the actual journal that day. I don't know if it shows or not. But then let's see, where's the... Oh, there's him playing with the little game that I was telling you about. But I've done that, and I've continued on. Like I said, I have books, and about almost 50 of these books now where I've written to them, and like I said, every day I'll put the pictures of what we've done. So it tells you I have no life, basically. I mean, he is my life. But hopefully he enjoys it, because I'm going to start giving to him when he's probably when he's 21 or so, just so that he'll know how much I cared for him and how much I loved him. And like I said, I've tried to not put his mom down, although obviously I've had a lot of frustrations in that area. But my main reason in doing this is every one of you watching this, first off, a lot of you watching this are going through this, and I want you to know my heart goes out for you, and I won't stop fighting. And there's a whole team of us, not me. There's a whole team of us in the shared parenting community. They're in this fight, and we're not going to give up until every child gets a chance to have access to both of their parents. But the other reason I put this up is a lot of you either go to church with somebody, work with somebody, have somebody in your neighborhood that is being intentionally alienated from a child. Guys, that is blatant child abuse. There is no other way to say it. The most important part of a child's life is a mother and a father. And to intentionally rip one of those parents out of someone's life is blatant child abuse, and it needs to be stopped, and someday there needs to be punishment for anyone who attempts something like that. So anyways, now that I've gotten a little bit too serious, my heart goes out to everybody. My issues have changed a little more. I have gotten a little more time. She did get married to somebody new again. June 25th. So I went from very, very, very limited time with Levi to where now I've gotten a lot of extra time with him. But I still fight what's known as parental alienation, where there's mental from the parent. And so a lot of people in the shared parenting community, that's what ends up happening. They start out working to try and get time with the kid, and then they evolve into realizing that maybe we're still battling mental issues. So I do encourage you, if you haven't already, please follow my organizational page, Americans for Equal Shared Parenting. A lot of other great organizations out there. Not saying mine's better than any, but it's just that I'm the one who founded that. And if you're my personal friend, I would ask you to go ahead and follow that page. But Americans for Equal Shared Parenting, if you're able to contribute to help out with the cause, it would definitely be appreciated. I've put my life into this thing. I mean, everything I have into it. And unfortunately, the funding has run out. And I think most of you know I've been trying to Uber to be able to pay my personal bills and help out with the organization. But I have nothing left. I mean, literally, at this point, I'm not exaggerating. I don't have money for Levi's Christmas this year. That's not an exaggeration. There's nothing left. So if you can give to the organization, we would greatly appreciate it. It takes funds to make change. Some people say, well, if you believe in it, why don't you do it for free? Well, if a pastor believes in something, why wouldn't they pastor for free? If a doctor believes in something, why wouldn't they be a doctor for free? Because it takes cost to go ahead and build a hospital. There are costs in a church. Well, there's cost involved in trying to get legislation passed. So anybody can contribute. We would greatly appreciate it. Like I said, I have nothing else to give. Those of you that know me know I'm not exaggerating. I have one pair of shoes, one pair of blue jeans, one pair of sweats, and that's it. Every penny I have is either going to Levi or to try and get legislative change. So if you can, like I said, please go to Americans for Equal Shared Parenting. If you can contribute for the organization, it's info@afesp.com on PayPal. So info@afesp.com. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it, and I will talk to y'all later.